Now, we know the NHS is under huge strain at the moment, and that pressure can mean patients waiting much longer for an ambulance to arrive.
Now, in some cases, those longer waits may prove fatal. Beena Patel died in October last year after an ambulance took 56 minutes to get to her.
Her son, Akshay, who made 6 999 calls during that time, has been speaking to Graham Satchell. You might find parts of this report upsetting.
Life is about positivity, surrounding yourself with people like me.
She was a giving person, she was never a taker, and I just loved my mum. I just think, you know, a lot of people say that we look alike. She was very loving and I just couldn't live without her in a sense. It's just a shame she's gone, and I mean, she was really young, and it's quite upsetting, to be honest.
Ambulance service, is the patient breathing?
Can I get an ambulance, please?
Is the patient breathing?
Struggling.
Okay, is the patient...
October the 11th last year, 2:31 in the morning, and Akshay calls 999 for his mum, Beena.
She woke me up and she, you know, screamed my name, Akshay, Akshay, get up, I can't breathe. And I thought, okay, something's gone wrong here.
So we will get an ambulance out to you as soon as possible, or as soon as we have an ambulance available.
I was just in a state of shock. I didn't know what to do myself because I've never been in a position like that. And I was waiting for the people that knew what to do to come as soon as possible.
Akshay waited for 15 minutes and then called back.
Okay, we're very busy and we aim to be with you as soon as possible, or as soon as we have an ambulance available. Currently is likely it could be over an hour and a half, but that's from your first call.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
It's just incredibly busy this evening.
I can't believe she's told me it's going to be an hour and a half from my first call, so potentially, you know, that's 4 o'clock in the morning. I just looked at my mum and I just thought, I don't know what to do.
Beena, relax.
Is the patient breathing?
No.
All right, so
I don't know. She's lost a lot of breath.
Tell me exactly what's happening.
We lost the call half an hour ago. She can't breathe.
Akshay made 6 calls in total, each one more distressing.
You can hear my mother screaming, you know, saying that she's going to die. You know, even to a point, where are they? You know, screaming for help. She was screaming for that ambulance to come. Sorry, Graham. Yeah, she was screaming for help. It didn't come.
It took 56 minutes for an ambulance to arrive. By then, Akshay's mum was dead. Akshay's experience is not unique. Patients who may have had a heart attack, so-called Category 2, waited an average of 53 minutes for an ambulance in England last month. The target is 18 minutes. Where Akshay lives in the northwest of England, Category 2 patients waited an hour and 7 minutes on average in December.
If they came within their recommended time, which is 18 minutes, they came within that time, I believe she would have been saved.
The North West Ambulance Service has now completed an investigation seen by the BBC. It says on the night Akshay's mum died, there were no appropriate ambulances available to immediately attend, and that demand simply outstripped capacity in an unpredictable way. In a statement, the service told us, "In this case, we can never say sorry enough. The amount of time it took for help to arrive is unacceptable and not how we want to care for our patients." These pictures show ambulances queuing up outside a hospital in Devon at the beginning of January. There are similar pictures across the country. Ambulances waiting hours to offload their patients because hospitals are full. The College of Paramedics says it has had an impact on patient safety. In a statement, NHS England said in December staff dealt with the highest ever number of life-threatening ambulance call-outs. They go on to say anyone needing help should call 999 when it's a life-threatening condition.
But I just want to know the truth and why.
None of that is enough for Akshay.
Something needs to be done about it, you know, because we all rely on the NHS, you know, and we only call them in emergency. We don't call them every day. We call them when we actually need them. And when they're not there, you lose your trust. So there's no way I can put trust in a service like that, you know?
In the days after she died, Akshay found a video on his mum's phone. He replays it again and again to give him comfort.
I want the whole nation to know that life is about positivity. Surrounding yourself with people like me, my friend Mina, my workplace Asda, good friends around you, good family around you. Positivity, brother. Positivity.
Bina Patel there at the end of Graham Satchwell's report.
Yeah, big thank you to Akshay for telling that story so powerfully as well. We're joined in the studio now by John Martin, who's the president of the College of Paramedics. Thank you so much for coming in. I know it's difficult for everybody to watch that this morning, but I suppose more generally, give us an idea of how much strain the service is under at the moment.
Yeah, well, good morning. It's been a really tough 2 years as we've lived through the pandemic, and paramedics across the country absolutely joined the profession to save lives, to make a difference. It's been tough for all of us. I still practice as a paramedic on a weekly basis. And I think in terms of that demand, we saw some of the figures in your report. So life-threatening emergencies, Category 1 was 9 minutes on average to get to in December. Category 2, 53 minutes to get to is what the latest NHS England information published has shown. We know it's busier. It's 9% busier this December than it was in 2019 before the pandemic started.
And those figures that you've just quoted there, they're breaking records, aren't they? Because the service is creaking under the strain. For Category 1, what would you want to be aiming to get to?
So the NHS England target is 7 minutes on average, so at 9 minutes. And Category 1 is that group of patients who are really, really unwell, so have stopped breathing, so cardiac arrest. Category 2, that next group of categories for patients who might be having a stroke, might be having a heart attack and allergic reaction.
How tough is this, though, for the people who are on the front line every day dealing with this and taking those calls and going out on the calls?
Yeah, so really tough for us as paramedics. Like I say, we all joined the profession to make a difference. We're caring, we're compassionate, we want to look after people. When you're working in an ambulance service and you're working as a paramedic, the 999 call comes in. You'll do them through your shift. You're busy the whole of the shift. When you get a call, it comes through on a screen within the cab, and it tells you what time the call came in. So sometimes we'll know that the patient's been waiting over an hour when we turn up at what is a 999 emergency call. So that makes a big difference to us as paramedics, because the first thing we're doing as we walk through the door is saying we're sorry it's taken so long, but then we're professional, so we then come in, we're going to look after you, we're going to care for you, we're going to do that. What I would say is we've also got paramedics working across the country within ambulance control centres, and that's where they will talk to patients on the telephone and monitor conditions, whilst it is sometimes taking us longer than we would want as a profession to get to patients.
And, you know, we just heard that report there of nearly an hour-long wait, and I think 6 calls made during that process as well. Sadly, it didn't end well. It's a really upsetting story, but I would imagine there are other people who are in a similar situation out there at the moment.
Yeah, so what we can see from the information that there are patients who are waiting. So whilst lots of patients get an adequate response, I think as paramedics and as the profession, we're seeing that there are occasions, and that there's been more over these last 2 years, where it's taking longer than as a profession we would want to get to these patients. And so, yes, Bina's story won't be the only one.
What could be done to help relieve the pressure in the short term?
So in the short term, we know, and you've reported on it, that there's a number of ambulances that wait outside hospital. So the whole of the NHS is busy. We know that there's patients waiting for operations. We know that beds in new infection control guidance means that hospitals are busy. Hospitals wait outside. If they're waiting outside the hospital to hand over a patient, they're not out in the community. So there's an effort we can do on that. I think all of us can think about whether we use 999 or do we call 111, do we call our GP and primary care, or do we go to the pharmacy and self-care? So how do we look after ourselves, only calling ambulances when we really need them for emergency? And although it takes longer, I think we do as a profession, we're saying we need a review now. It's like 9% demand up on where we were pre-pandemic. Does that mean we need more paramedics? That's going to take a while. We have to train them via universities, but do we need to review how many paramedics there are now across the country?
And is that a funding issue?
I think it's a funding issue, it's a training issue, so
right.
it takes
3
years.
Then,
Yes,
right,
but
okay.
yeah.
Well, thank you very much for being with us this morning, John. I know it's a difficult story to listen to and then to speak off the back of, but I really appreciate you giving us a sort of broader picture of why there are difficulties in the service at the moment.